Well, that was hilarious. All righty. Lights are on. We're ready to go. Ready to rock and roll. All right. So yeah, I see other lights in the background, all that good stuff. But that's okay. We're set to go. I just need to share my screen. And let's see. Ooh, looks like I'm on the wrong slide. Hang on just a second. So, hope everybody's having a fantastic week. I'm bringing this housing debrief live a little earlier than what I have done before, and that's because we have a soccer tournament. At least I have a soccer tournament that I am driving our daughter, to up to the Bay Area. So we have a nice drive ahead of us. Anyways, let's see. Oh, yes, there we go. Somebody said they don't like that I'm that small. Do you want me to be like that? No, that doesn't work. Like that? No, that doesn't work. Yeah, this just doesn't work. So how do I do this? I think this is the best way to do it. Anyhow, we are ready to go live here on a Thursday afternoon at 3:00 p.m. Just want to get started, and this is being recorded so that if you want to see a copy of it, you definitely can. But let's go ahead and get the show on the road. All right. So it's been very busy. I have been extremely busy since the start of this year. This has been, the market has just been churning along, and of course we had a lot of evolution and change with COVID, and then but it really wasn't a lot. We were constantly seeing an improvement in the economy, and everything was getting closer and closer back to normal as we started coming out of COVID and out of lockdowns and that type of thing. Well, as soon as, of course, we get out of COVID or out of the weeds, we were pulling off masks here in California, and kids go back to school on Monday, don't have to wear masks. And of course, we're dealing with the next giant calamity, and that is, of course, the global crisis that's going on with the Ukrainian war. But there's that even adds even more layers to the economic scene. So feel bad for everything that's going on, and but just know that I am staying on top of it. Not getting a tremendous amount of sleep lately, as you can hear with my voice. And this is our third presentation of the day, so it's been quite busy, of course. And I am the nerd. I'm asking for everybody to tap into the nerd. I'm a housing analyst. I have a quantitative economics and decision sciences degree. That is what I do. I enjoy looking at all the data, and this is my bread and butter. It's definitely not YouTube clicks or anything along those lines. It's really all about looking at the numbers and trying to properly set everybody's expectations. That's what I want to do. That's what drives me to do what I do. I want homeowners, neighbors, family, friends, everybody to make the best decisions for their families and themselves as far as real estate's concerned. And that is what I am doing on a daily basis. If I knew that there was going to be a problem in the housing market, I would call it a housing crack. I've done that in the past. So that's our company. It's Reports on Housing. It's your local real estate snapshot. I invite you to go to reportsonhousing.com and subscribe. We have report the dot all over Southern California. I want you to like these videos. I want you to go to YouTube and subscribe, and that'll get the algorithms up. Not so that I get paid to do YouTube, because that's not what I'm all about. Instead, I want to get the word out to as many people as possible to cut through all of the noise. There's way too much noise, and there's way too many opinions out there, where you need to find somebody that has an actual economic model, and it's something that this is what they do for a living, that they're an actual housing analyst, and they have a background in it, and aren't just bringing up a ton of charts talking negatively about the market, but talking about everything that encompasses the market. So I'm asking for everybody to ignore these people on YouTube, and if they really don't have a proper take with an actual economic model. But I'm going to start off with some funny stuff. But speaking of funny stuff, I have my first wonderful interruption by one of my kids. What's your name, dude?
Mason.
Mason. You excited about this weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, because yeah, it's gonna be fun, right?
Mhm.
Anything else you'd like to say to the masses? That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that is it.
That is it. What are you doing this afternoon?
Track.
Track. He's running track. Oh, by the way, can you shut off that light, the way overhead light? It's the one on the right. Thank you. That's better. Man, I have too much shininess going on in my forehead, so I asked them to turn that down. Anyway, there's some funny things. How about this? This is real. When you want to be mad, but you can't because you know it's true. Private remarks section. No showings until open house. Check back to MLS for open house date. Do not call agent for access. Yes, we know your clients are very special cash buyers from out of state and are leaving town, but no, they can't see it early. Please submit all offers to. That's a crazy market that we're dealing with. Buyer's agents. Wow, they have 27 offers in already. Buyer, we better go in strong at asking then, meaning at asking price. Probably a little bit higher in asking price. Obviously, a new buyer. Taking a client to a showing in 2022 when gas hits $5 per gallon. That's not California. We're more than $5 per gallon. The rest of the country is catching up to what it's been like here in California. So housing crash in 2022. That is what we're all here gathered around to talk about today. And I want the reason that we're thinking about housing crash, and it's been on everybody's top of mind for a long time, for over a year, is because home values have been absolutely soaring to astronomical levels where it just doesn't make sense to anybody locally. They're looking at it, but they're just factoring in price. They're not looking at where incomes have gone and where interest rates are as well. But home values, that's a big thing. Inflation. Then we have, of course, the supply chain and how it's been broken. And we have interest rates that have been climbing, and we have the gas pump has just been absolutely ridiculous. The price of gas. We've got talks of recessions. We have the Ukraine-Russian war. We have then global problems with inflation and other issues that are trickling down with energy and all that. It makes our whole world small when you see it all in one basket. And there's a lot going on. And there's been no UFO invasion, but you get the idea. There's so much going on. It's enough to make you just absolutely scream. It's really, it's hard to believe that there's so much going on, and there's a lot of fear as a result of it. And it's the fear of the unknown is really what it's about. What's lurking around the corner? So when that happens, we jump to conclusions. We did it in Y2K where everybody's extrapolating what can happen. It got worse and worse. Got to the snowball where I had a neighbor that had a trash can filled with waters and different things like that because there was airplanes that were supposed to fall out of the sky and all chaos was supposed to break out and banks were supposed to crash. And that was when computers didn't know what to do with going from 1999 to the year 2000. It would reset to 000 and 00 rather than continue to go. So it was going to be this major issue. And there's a lot of patches and different things and software that fixed a lot of different things. And we didn't have any issue. I mean, I'm sure that there were issues, small issues, but nothing came up that was that big of an issue. And what our brains do is when there's all of this unknown, our brains go to the darkest place and we start thinking about the darkest thing. And it's been like a roller coaster ride so far this year of emotions with all the different changes and all the economic numbers coming at us and inflation and interest rates going up. And now we got the Ukrainian war going on and we just had an inflation number come out today. And there's such a gigantic worry about a housing bubble. 77% of all consumers are thinking that a housing bubble is still persisting, that it's going to pop and that we're going to have some sort of a crash. 44% of agents believe in this as well. This is the sentiment out there is what I'm trying to cut through so that people understand what housing is and what it's not. Is there going to be some economic pain? We already have seen it. We've already seen it out there. There's definitely some economic pain, and that just breeds a lot of the fear that I've been talking about. Inflation is the biggest culprit of a lot of the fear that we have right now, and it's already been politicized. But a lot of this comes out of the COVID. It's not just us that's dealing with inflation; it's around the world. It's rampant. Inflation is a real issue. Now we're going to have problems with energy, gas. We're going to have a problem with wheat, and know that this is CPI. This is the Consumer Price Index. It actually came out, I believe it was today. My days are starting to blend, but I think this was this morning. I can't remember anymore. Anyways, the headline inflation number was 7.87%. It's pretty much 7.9%. You drill backwards, the last time it was this high was in 1982, and we were coming down off of the earlier highs of the latter 70s, very, very early 80s. And so the headline inflation is 7.87%, and core is at 6.41%. Now, remember where the Federal Reserve likes us to be. They want us to be at 2% inflation, and this is just way, way too hot, coming in at 6.41%. So it's just another reminder of that, how far behind the 8 ball the Federal Reserve is. And a matter of fact, they're about 1 year behind on making all the necessary changes that they're going to start this month. And fuel has just been a real issue. I mean, it has just been spiking, and it is, from what I understand, it's supposed to get to as high as $7 per gallon. And that is going to really affect the consumer. This is going to cut into discretionary spending. I've already seen it with some family and friends that have talked about, that are younger, much younger, and they've already talked about limiting the amount of travel they do, and because they have to give something else up in order to just fuel the gas tank. So that causes more strife and some more of that negative thinking that goes on. So what we're going to start to see is it's going to start to impact retail sales unless we can get a grip on gas prices and they eventually go down, perhaps on the other end of this conflict. And so the Federal Reserve is extremely busy. We know that they're going to talk next week. They're going to probably only do a 0.25% change in the short-term rate. Know that is short-term rates. That is the credit card debt, automobile loans, that is equity lines of credit, that is not 30-year mortgages. So just because the Federal Reserve is increasing it, it's already baked into the 30-year mortgage that stands today. And the Fed is going to be busy, and they're going to have to thread the needle. It's going to be extremely difficult for them to thread the needle and bring down inflation and not throw us into a recession. And if you see this, mortgage rates as of today, I'm following. This is now, I'm no longer doing the Freddie Mac primary mortgage market survey because it takes into account paying 1 point and 20% down. We're not doing that kind of thing anymore. That's only 10% of the people put 1 point down. So what I'm going to start to do is do this MBA mortgage rates. That's Mortgage Bankers Association mortgage rates. And this is from Mortgage News Daily. And you can see it's been spiking. It's actually spiked. It's come down, but it's actually, as of this morning or as of yesterday, it started to spike again. This is where COVID-19 was. So where are mortgage rates? It's the highest since October of 2019. And actually, as of today, it's highest as of July of 2019. And you can see it in 10-year treasuries. You got to follow 10-year treasuries. The appetite of 30-year mortgages is very close to 10-year treasuries. There's a tie. So tied to the two, that they're very sticky, because the investor that's looking at 10-year treasuries is looking at 30-year mortgages. And you can see as of today, we got back up to 2% rate. So it went up from the very beginning of this year and skyrocketed. Then it went flat. And we were absorbing what the Federal Reserve was changing, what they were going to do. And they were going to do a lot. And then it came down with the conflict of Russia. But now that there's all this economic pain and all that different things, it's got everybody spooked. And we had a high CPI index came out today, and now we're getting 10-year treasuries back up to 2%. So we have interest rates at about 4.25%. And I want to talk a few things about recessions, but I've got a couple of guest interruptions.
Hug. I remember.
Yes, thank you. She gave me that welcome home hug. Who are you?
Athena.
Athena. Did you just get home?
Yeah.
Did you walk?
No.
You got picked up?
No.
Rode your bike?
Yes.
Right on. Can't remember what my kids do. So thank you very much. Oh, who else is this? Oh, Who's this? Hey, I got a very, very special guest. He's awfully short. So I have to pick him up. Oh, who's this? Who's that? Look that way.
I want to tell Alana didn't beat us.
Oh, Alana and Athena didn't tell him. Say Alana and Athena.
Alana and Cena didn't beat us.
You beat them home?
Yeah.
Yeah, right here, dude. Woo! Right on. Did you just get back from school?
Yeah.
What was your favorite part of school?
Going nap out stuff.
He always says nap. I think that's great. I like naps too. That's really smart of him. Hopefully that continues. I love you. And who else do we have here?
Alana.
Oh, soccer star. Getting rid of that cold, huh? You're gonna be better by this weekend.
Yeah.
You're a soccer star too, sweetheart. But she's the one who has. I was already talking about the soccer tournament that she's gonna be in. Anyways.
I don't know why you said Ziki was very, very special.
Got to be careful what I say. All of my kids are very, very special, but this is a very, very special guest because he was so small and I had to pick him up. Anyways, that was my wife asking me that. But now let's talk about recessions and the recessionary flags that come up. This is Logan Motoshami. He's talked about recessionary flags. I've adopted it. It's actually right on par. I definitely see the light. And when you're looking for a recession, you got to look at a whole bunch of different factors. And it's not just one thing goes up and you go, yep, definitely recession. That's not how it happens. You got to look at a whole bunch of flags. And there are 6 flags that we're looking at. Federal funds rate. As soon as the Fed raises the short-term rate, which is happening next week, this is one of the flags that will go up. This is going up next week. And another one is when unemployment rate drops below 4%. We're at 3.8% right now. It's getting too low. The economy is getting really hot. That's another flag that we take a look at. And this flag is up as well. And another one that's getting close is the inverted yield curve. That's actually probably going to invert this year. And when that happens, typically a recession follows within a year. But we'll stay tuned to this because this is not. I think that they could be off a little bit on this, but if we see everything else come to fruition, yeah, definitely all the recessionary flags will be up, and we will be calling it a recession. But this will be a third flag that will probably come up this year. And housing starts fall 2 quarters straight. That's when there's enough economic turmoil, which we're starting to get, and we're starting to get pinched in the wallet. So at that point, there could start to be housing starts where it falls 2 quarters in a row. But that's not going to happen yet. But it is something definitely that we're watching. Another flag is leading economic indicators. Fall for 6 months straight. It fell for the month of January. And leading economic indicators is a basket filled of a whole bunch of economic data, and it's different points. Well, you have to understand what's in that basket. I'm not going to go and get into the weeds and tell you about that, but just know that it fell for the month of January, but it has to fall for. It says 4 to 6 months straight. I would feel more confident if I saw it fall for 6 months straight. But we had 1 month where it went negative. So we'll have to stay tuned and see where that goes. Retail sales drop and supplies spike due to weaker demand. And if the consumer is getting pinched enough, there could be some demand that comes up. But understand, this is going to be one that I'm going to be very, very interested in watching because yes, we're getting pinched at the gas tank. However, people refinance to such low rates that they have a lot more discretionary income than they did before. And that's part of why we've had a spike in retail sales, besides the fact that the government gave everybody money to infuse into the economy. That's actually gone now. Savings accounts are where they were prior to COVID, but they have extra money because they refinanced. And just know that even if we go into a recession, only 2 out of the last 6 recessions did we actually have the housing market go down, where we had depreciation, devaluation of housing. And that was true to Southern California. There were other pockets that had some negative impact with 2001. The .com bust, but it did not happen here in Southern California. And what those 2 that happened were, number 1, we have the economic turn down of the savings and loan scandal. And then And that was led by the savings and loan scandal, started the recession, and then housing imploded. The Great Recession, same thing, some really bad things that happened as far as lending is concerned, and it led to a collapse in the economy, and housing values came down. The other 4 out of 6, actually, we had home values that went up. So what you have to have is you have to have unemployment. You have to have a mass amount of unemployment in order for it to really affect housing. So you can get unemployment with a recession, but we would need a lot of it in order for housing to catch a cold, because where housing is right now is coming from an absolute position of strength. And everybody remembers what that burn was like from the Great Recession. They remember that Great Recession, and it either happened to them or a neighbor or a family or a friend or somebody. They knew somebody where this happened to, and it's just too much for a lot of people to take. So we remember what that was like, and we think, when there's a slowdown, it's going to affect housing, and we're going to see housing just plummet like a rock. And that's not what happens, because we've seen it before. We've had slowdowns, but yet we have had values continue to go up. Maybe not at the rate that they did before, but they still have gone up. And let's see. This reminds me of the story of the 3 little pigs. I'm going to tell you about the story of the 3 little pigs. And basically, it's there. During the right before the Great Recession, the housing stock was made out of what I would even term as worse than hay. It really was worse than hay. It definitely was. It was built on quicksand or a really sandy material. It was not good. There was no real good foundation, and we did some gnarly things that led to this. And it definitely wasn't as strong as sticks, which, during an economic turn down, if it was made out of housing sticks where we did some bad things, we could actually see housing go down. Now, our housing stock right now, the housing, all the homeowners combined across the United States, it is the foundation, the strength of the house overall is extremely strong, and no wolf is going to really blow that down. It would take a real big outside force for that to happen. And it's like it's made out of concrete with rebar. It's that strong. And you have to understand, housing is coming from a really, really strong place right now, currently. And that's what you got to drill down to. This is nothing like the last time. If you look at this is compliments of keeping current matters. Prior to the Great Recession, you could see those orange bars. Those were volume of loans in the billions of dollars with a credit score less than 620. And you can see where we are most recently. There aren't that many people that are getting loans. And you have to understand, it would add up really fast with home values going up. And yet still the third quarter of 2020, these aren't the people that are winning. It's survival of the fittest out there. When you have such a limited inventory and so many buyers, it is survival of the fittest. And the people that have the best credit scores or all cash, or the people that are the strongest with bank accounts filled with gobs of money, those are the people that are winning. So there aren't that many people that have been buying homes for a long time with low credit scores. You can see mortgage originations by credit scores. On the left-hand side is the mixed bag that I just talked about. On the right-hand side, you could see the light blue bars, that 760 plus credit scores. So by and large, everybody is purchasing with really strong credit. And then if you see the Mortgage Bankers Association Purchase Application Index, prior to the Great Recession, it was a credit bubble. We allowed some really bad things to happen where the standard loan was an adjustable loan. You could put zero down and get a loan, and you could fog a mirror and still get that loan. And a couple dogs got loans during that time period in the United States, and a whole bunch of dead people with Social Security numbers of people that had passed away purchased homes. So we just did some unscrupulous things, but that leads us to where we are today. And this is just this boring line, and this boring line is a trend upward. We should have more purchase applications right now because we have a lot of millennials that are coming to purchase, but it's nothing out of the ordinary. It got out of the ordinary for a minute right after lockdowns were done. So we had a spike, but then it came back down, and we're following that trend line. And if you see this, it's just boring. It's a boring trend line. And and boring is something that people don't like to talk about or bring up, but that's exactly what's going on right now. The percentage of people out there that say it is a good time to buy, and this is the Home Purchase Sentiment Index, Keeping Current Matters slide. You can see people don't think it's a good time to buy. And they're right. It is extremely difficult to buy right now. When you're showing a house and there are a bunch of people trying to purchase, it's ridiculous. An appraiser tweeted yesterday about the fact that he had a client that he was appraising a home for who was upset because he only got $100,000 above the asking price. That is an unhealthy kind of marketplace that we're in. And there's way too much demand for the amount of product that's available. And because of that, it's very difficult to purchase a home. So that's why you have this really, really low percentage of people that think it's a good time to buy. And as far as this wave of foreclosures that's going to happen, it's not going to happen. This actually came out on Monday. This is compliments of Black Knight, and forbearance continues to drop. It's been dropping. It's down to 790,000 people that are currently in forbearance across the United States. 93% of these people have 10% plus equity. I did the thing that showed you that a few weeks back, that if you skipped all your payments in forbearance, it didn't really matter. At the end of the day, you still had the values were going up faster than the payments you were missing. So at the end of the day, when they came out of forbearance, they actually had more equity than when they went into forbearance. And it's created it was a great bridge to get people to the other side of the pandemic and unemployment. 4.3 million people in June of 2020 took advantage of forbearance, and 8 million people have taken advantage of forbearance so far, period. So the height was in June of 2020 at 4.3 million. And all these people that exited, 59% are performing, which means they negotiated with the workout unit and either paid it in full or payment plan or deferred it to the end of the loan, or they paid it off completely, meaning they most likely just sold. So that's 89% either are performing or paid it off. And another 450,000 are working with a workout unit trying to figure out where do they go? Do they come up with payments or do they pay it off and sell it? And the truly ones that are no longer working with a workout unit are delinquent, only 4%. And the number of foreclosures that are in foreclosures, removed and are in foreclosure, is 70,000. So 1%. This shows you forbearance worked, and these numbers continue every single month. It's right in on the money. And as far as the delinquency rate, this is that chart that has been all over the net, and a whole bunch of people that are talking about the crash and that's coming, and we're going to get the slew of properties that come on the market. And that's because it was really high. It spiked during COVID and it started to come down, and people said, see, it's still really high. Well, they're not talking about it anymore because the national delinquency rate, if you can see that, is at 3.3%. It's almost where we were prior to COVID, and that was like an over 50-year low. So that we're at a very, very low level, and there's a ton of equity, a ton of tappable equity that's out there. So homeowners have $9.9 trillion of tappable equity. Tappable equity means that you can tap into your equity and take out money to do whatever you want with and still have 20% equity after you refinanced and pulled money out. There's $9.9 trillion of tappable equity. So that's an all-time high. And if you drill backwards, you can see on the very left, that is 2004 and 2005, 6, 7. The tappable equity is tiny. Look how much equity that people have right now. And the foreclosure starts versus foreclosure sales. The foreclosure starts are the blue line. And you can see it's actually spiked. But where is it spiking to? It's spiking to the trend line of where we were prior to COVID, which was a really low number to begin with. We didn't do any at all. And now we're going to do some. So we're going to get a few foreclosures, and they don't happen. They don't all end up being foreclosed on. But this is the true foreclosure start rate as of January, and it's just going back to the old trend. It's not going to spike. We're going to have more. People are going to say it went from 0 or 5 to 20, and they're going to say 400% increase. That is not going to tell you the truth of what's going on. That's not the right narrative. As a matter of fact, here's looking at January of 2022 foreclosure starts compared to January of 2020 prior to COVID. And look in the state of California, off 42%. And there's some of the middle states are having some problems, or in Arizona, they're having some problems, but they're not having problems here in California as far as foreclosures are concerned. So, I also wanted to throw in talking about number of consumers with new foreclosures and bankruptcies. You could see the foreclosures is that blue, it's like down to zero, and the number of bankruptcies is tiny. If you flash back to where we were prior to the Great Recession, we were already starting to ramp up starting in 2007, 2006. We could see how heightened it was. So bankruptcies it was absolutely crazy. So household mortgage debt as a percentage of GDP. You'll see these numbers as they've risen recently, but it's nothing compared to where we were prior to the Great Recession or during the Great Recession, where the household debt, mortgage debt was a big portion of GDP. It's not really on the right-hand side. You can see that. Unemployment rate. This is something else that people were talking about. And look where unemployment is right now. If I draw a line, it's getting back towards where we were prior to COVID, which we're going to get there probably this summer. And if you drill backwards, the last time we were that low prior to COVID was back at the end of 1969, when I was born. So you go backwards to that, and that just shows you how strong the employment market is, and it is extremely strong right now. So before we get to the rest of this, I wanted to thank our sponsor, Kevin Buddy, Monarch Coast Financial, my buddy, your buddy, Kevin Buddy, and he deals with more than one kind of borrower. There's more than one kind of loan, and everything from full documentation loans to alternative documentation loans to investor financing and private money, and it just deals with the whole gamut. So turn to him because he has loads of experience. He's been doing this since 1976. I worked with him. We refinanced with him, and it was the smoothest thing I'd ever done. And it was absolute pleasure working with him. My buddy, your buddy, Kevin Buddy, contact him to help you and your clients at Monarch Coast Financial, 949-422-2075. That's 949-422-2075. Thank you, Kevin. Back to housing. Oh, let's talk about housing. Let's get into it. A supply and demand issue. I know a lot of people hate hearing me talk about supply and demand. It's like, hello, Steven. Anybody home? Yeah, there is. Let's talk about supply. There's not enough supply. My big worry is that we're going to have enough supply even when things start to slow down, that homeowners simply just won't place their homes on the market. That is a concern that I started to have at the very beginning of this year, and I'm starting to see it. I already talked about it. The number of homes that came on the market for 2020 and 2021 compared to the 3-year average prior to COVID, we're missing 50,000 for sale signs that should have come on the market. Why didn't all these homeowners come on? People say it's for COVID and a variety of different reasons. I have my ideas. But January and February of this year alone, missing 7,500 for sale signs. So homeowners aren't coming on the market. As a matter of fact, and that's leading to this very, very low inventory. I talked about this last week. And if you see where we are in terms of past, we're just at a very, very low level. 2013 was a very, very low level. And that was that trough on the left-hand side. And that was a really low number, but we're way below that. As a matter of fact, then I showed you Orange County. And the reason I did is because I have data that goes all the way back to 2004. And if I draw a line across, you could see the Himalayas. That Himalayas was during the Great Recession. We had 18,000 homes on the market in 2007 here in Orange County. And you can imagine where it was for the rest of Southern California. Everybody moves in conjunction with each other. So just absolutely crazy. And you could see the big disparity, how many homes are on the market compared to where we are today. That is what we refer to as an inventory glut. We had way too much inventory. When you have that much inventory, the only thing to do is to wholesale it out of there. And you saw prices just drop like a rock versus where we are today, a supply catastrophe. That's what's going on today. And if you don't believe me, this is the United States of America. I've been showing this every week, and compliments of Altos Research. And last year, the low was 307,000 in April, at the end of April. And that was the low point, 307,000. And it typically hits the low in February, but it was the low is all the way in spring. And that's kind of what's going on right now, because it went down again last week. It's down to 241,079. It's down 21% lower than last year's record low. And where are we supposed to be? We're supposed to be already starting to climb right now and making our way towards 1 million homes on the market across the United States. Instead, we have less than 250,000 homes, or I can't even do my math. Yes, that's less than 250,000 homes. Where will I go? That's the big thing. Why aren't there homes on the market? It's where am I going to go? That is what the narrative is. Everybody understands it. They know that if they sell, they're going to become homeless. There's a big chance of that happening. They don't want to live in a motel. They don't want to live with mom and dad or the in-laws. That's going to require a double move. They're sitting back and they're going, hey, you know what? I'm fine. My home prices are rising. And right now I have a very, very low interest rate, a very, very low interest rate. Values continue to rise. I'm good. Hey, wait a minute. And mortgage rates are rising. So why am I going to leave? Why am I going to sell my house if I'm going to buy another home and sell my house and then get another house higher value? So it's going to be a bigger payment. Plus, I have an interest rate right now of 2.75%, and now I'm going to have an interest rate close to 4%. You can see if you do the math, that's where the problem lies. And my thing is if we do get towards a recession, that most likely what we're going to see is interest rates that come back down towards 3%. So you can refinance after, if you can handle the payment right now, know that down the road, you will be able to refinance. When that's going to happen, I don't know, but it's definitely going to happen over the next couple of years. So right now, people are prisoners in their own home because they don't want to move. They can't move. And why can't they move? Because they are in love, not with their home, but with their home loan. And don't feel sorry for them. Don't feel sorry for them because they have, like I told you, remember, they have really high credit scores, really good job, money in the bank. They're good. They have tons and tons of equity, lots of equity, not that artificial equity that was prior to the Great Recession where people had equity, but it was done by all the nonsense that we did prior to the Great Recession. Look at it now. It's strong. We have a lot of equity. And I'll tell you this. This is my biggest concern. Homeowners are not going to panic sell. There's not going to be any reason for them to panic sell. Remember, they have good jobs, good credit scores, and they have money in the bank and a lot of equity. Why are they going to panic and all of a sudden sell their home? So you're just going to get fewer bodies to place their homes on the market. And that is going to be an issue. We won't have the panic selling. And that's what I'm getting very concerned about. And I'm seeing it in the numbers of homes coming on the market. The number of available homes last week was at 12,915, only went up 214 net. That means everything that came on the market goes in escrow. We only added 214 homes in a 2-week period as of March 3rd. Last year at the same time, we had 23% more. That's the red line. And where are we supposed to be? At 35,000 homes, we have less than 13,000 homes. How about today? 12,609. It actually went down 2% from last week. So we have an inventory issue, and this is going to be the issue. You can have less demand, but even if you don't have supply, it's not going to create a crash or a correction in housing. So demand has been crazy. You guys have all experienced this. This is to show a house. They say 3 hours. We're going to hold an open house and you can show your clients. So we have lines that build like this. And really what's going on is there's a scarcity. It's no longer low rates that's fueling this. There's a scarcity that's fueling this thing where, you know what, I need to buy something right now before I miss out. So there is a little bit of FOMO. There's a big argument that there's not FOMO. Different economists have different opinions on this, but I can tell you this right now, scarcity does not help things with psyche. When there's 500 people that are clamoring to purchase one property, a lot of ridiculous things happen. And there is just not enough inventory like there isn't with cars. And people are willing to pay that a market adjustment fee for cars right now. And they're willing to pay it for houses as well. And that's that extra amount above the MSRP. And as a result, things are selling like an auction above asking price, and it continues today. And I've heard from a lot of people that homes are falling out because of all the calamity and all that stuff. Well, they're going right back into escrow because I showed you what's happening in inventory. It's not building. And just know that the Generation Xers, Generation X, they're purchasing, actually millennials are purchasing like nobody else's business. Oh my gosh, it's Bryce. And know that they are a big, speaking of millennials, they are a big chunk of our buying population. And we're at a height right now. It started 2 years ago and it goes for 2 more years. They're adding to demand. And speaking of demand, hey, this guy's in short. Oh my gosh. You know who this is? This is one of my boys. Big guy.
Hello.
Wow. This is Bryce, a rare older kid that comes to see us. How old are you?
I'm 22.
How was your day?
It was good. I just worked out.
Did you just work out?
Yeah.
That's pretty fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us, Bryce. It's a great interruption. Wow. Can't wait to see more of my kids. Seen a lot today. But Southern California demand, that's a snapshot of escrow activity. March 3rd was at just below 16,000. We added 521, up 3%. But you can see it's not real. That yellow line, it's looking kind of, kind of like weak. We need to add a little bit more. The reason it's looking weak is because we're not placing enough homes on the market that can go into escrow. And last year we were at 19,000 at this time period. That's 21% more than where we were today, because we were placing more homes on the market and we had more homes, period, that were already on the market. So an inventory that we can at least try to deplete. And then 3-year average is 15,527, very close to where we are. But I'll tell you this, the San Diego and Orange County and San Bernardino are dealing with way fewer homes than the 3-year average. So I just want you to know that it's pretty bad in those markets. Today we're at 16,152, so up 3%. And the expected market time across Southern California, you could see it's very, very hot. The lower the number, the hotter the market, and we're at very, very low reading. As a matter of fact, last week we were at 25 days. It was flat for a 2-week period. Last year at this time, we were at 25 days. The 3-year average is 68 days. So we should be a lot higher than where we were prior to COVID. We were at 68 days. And know that anything below 40 is insane. And that's where we are. It's an insane market in a lot of markets across the US as well. Today, we're at 23 days. This, at 23 days today, is a new record. Ties the record low on April 1st of last year. Just absolutely unbelievable. And Los Angeles is at 29 days, went down 1 day, is a new record as of today. Orange County's at 19 days. It's tied their record that they reached last week, 0. Riverside's at 19 days, which is down 2 from last week. Not their record. They were even lower than that. Hard to believe. San Bernardino's at 28 days, flat from last week. San Diego's at 17 days, down 2. A new record. 17 is absolutely ridiculous. Congratulations, San Diego, on an insane, insane market. I said below 40 is insane. Below 20 is insane squared. And so you wonder, are we going to crash? What's going to happen in the market? Is this thing going to crash? No, it's not. Absolutely not. It's not going to crash. I don't see it in anything that I'm looking at right now. When I do see cracks market, I'll talk about it, but it's going to slow our market down. It doesn't happen instantly either. It's not like the stock market. It's a really slow progression, and you'll see it in the numbers, and we see it in nothing right now, nothing that we're following. So as soon as I do see it, I will let you know. If you want a copy of this, you need to be a subscriber. Go to reportsonhousing.com and click on subscribe. Ask for a copy of this. I'll be more than happy to provide it for you. You have to be a subscriber though. Reportsonhousing.com, click on subscribe. And we have reports that dot all over Southern California. It's $15 per month or $150 per year, cheap on purpose. Get a month free if you sign up utilizing the coupon code MARCH. And coming up is spring. That's the latest one that came out for Orange County, Los Angeles, and San Diego. And if you sign up today, we'll send you this recent one. San Bernardino, Riverside, they will get this next week, but you will sign up, you'll get the last report as well. That's all I have. I do think I have some questions. Let's see. I did see quite a few in the feed. I know this one ran long, but I'm passionate about this housing crash thing. I had to get it out there. I had to let people know what I was thinking. So yes, Lisa said, did we change days? Yes, we changed days because I got to get on the road and take my kid up to the Bay Area for a soccer tournament. So yes, we changed days today. Let's see. Anybody else have questions? Just got a lot of people. Howdy, cute. 2 out of 6 recessions had housing drop in both to lending problems. Yep, that's a good recap on that, Conrad. Yeah, 2020 was it was a recession and housing boom. That's funny. Let's see. Anybody else have any questions? I'm more than happy to answer them. Let's see. I'm going to answer these offline because I'm sure I do. Will you be doing venture accounting in the future? I'm going to try to work with the board there. It's very hard for me to go into a small market because there's just not enough homes. So I don't have enough agents to put in all the manpower and everything else to put together this kind of report. So that's what precludes me. But I do follow Ventura. So I do have the macro data that dates back to 2012. So where are all the money in the market coming from? It's insane. That's funny. So Laura wants to know, where in the world is all this money coming from? Yeah, I don't know. Millennials have a lot more money than they thought. Well, part of that issue is the fact that millennials are a dual income couple, so they bring a lot of money to the table. Also, mom and dad and grandma and grandpa are helping out quite a bit with money as well. Ask any lender. There is a lot of money in the system. So, do you email the recordings to subscribers? You know what, Cheryl? I am going to I will email a link to the subscribers as well as, you know what? I'm just going to send out the PowerPoint presentation directly to everybody so that they get a copy of it. Good idea. I think somebody else asked that too. So thank you very much, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend and fantastic evening, a fantastic finish to your week. We will see you on the other side. Any more questions, put them into the chat. I'll be more than happy to answer them offline. Have a fantastic rest of your